Mission accomplished, Cornac unit. However, I picked up a Mechanicus distress signal. I'm going to investigate. Defend the truck. Acknowledged. The last thing we need is a survivor of the last Explorator's retinue. Truly a blessing from the Omnisire. Who are you, Tech Priest? Frank Jaeger, Tech Priest. Junior Magos Biologist. Interesting. A data slate.
Subject 3-42 Gamma was a failure. The request from the Explorator to utilize what STCs we have found to create a new way for extended life has proven to be a failure. However, these cortical chips do possess a promising answer, and ones we have collected thus far contain imprints of a host soul. When removed, the host body is killed, but when implanted in a fresh body, will kill the new soul, eradicating one person's whole existence. This is a poor exchange. With this knowledge, I suggested to utilizing clone vats. The Explorator was abhorred by the idea and banished me to this remote outpost. I may die here, but my research is stored on my terminal. Someone will find it and bring the might of the Omnisire down upon Explorator Vishisk. Beware the Mechanator.
Foolish old Tech Priest. Let's see if you have a separate terminal. Caved in. Always hated making a hole. Damn primal humans. Wasted time. Neither room was useful, Tech Priest Jaeger. I'll have to scrub through the data. Damn it again! How? Cocking nimble bastard! Die! Enough of this place. Keep your grave, Jaeger. Primus. I know. Shall I? No. I'll take care of it. Make a choice. One more mission, Cornac. Then we both elevate. You did well. Keep it up. Welcome, my little mugs, and I am so excited. We're finally at episode 10. I never thought we'd get to an episode 10. I can't believe it. I, unfortunately, lost all my recording audio. Don't know what happened. Just kind of gone. That's okay. It gives me time to kind of suss out some ideas that I've been having for a while and even ask you guys a whole bunch of questions like, how do you think the series is going so far? What's a point that really stuck out to you? What's something that you have enjoyed watching this season so far and you'd like to see more of? Because I would really like to know what it is that's kind of appealing to you guys as a whole when we do the narrative aspect and the non-narrative aspect. Because I'm trying to do both. I'm trying to expand what is my comfort zone, because I really don't do good doing this part. This isn't like my favorite part to do. I prefer just cranking out the narrative, but I also like having some longer episodes that we can talk to each other about and kind of get an idea about where the base is going, how all the characters are doing, and you know, each of these characters. You know, so Explorator Null is a very self-focused, self-driven Explorator, much like most of them, but he's also very loyal to the Skitarii under his command. He would rather put all of his Skitarii behind fortifications, keep them safe, and highlight and utilize a disposable unit of forces to send out into the Oblivion and get them killed. Like, he would most likely utilize an entire servitor army instead of his Skitarii. Like, his Skitarii are his elite personal guard in his mind, and his servitors are his soldiers, and they're the ones that he'd willingly get rid of on a daily basis. Which is why, in my thought, it made sense for him to become a Mechanator. So when pointed out in the comments that they hope Vox Null is loyal to Alsmard and you know, rewards Alsmard as a whole for all of his service, it was hard for me to not come out and say, yeah, dude, you have no idea. He loves his Skitarii and he's so proud of Alsmard. It's like, how best to put this? How best to put this? Let's see. Alsmard is like your first PC you ever built. You continue to upgrade it over and over and over again. You put a new chassis to it. You re-upgrade the parts, and then at some point, something fails and it's no longer what you once had. And I think that's where Vox Null has come to this point, is in this new world that they've landed on with this Explorator. There's so much technology that they've obtained just through this trove that Explorator Vishik left behind for someone to continue his work, and seeing how upset Alsmard got at the idea of the Skitarii being put aside to just base duty, because in Vox Null's mind, he was finally like, yes, I can finally relegate my Skitarii to what they're supposed to be. My defense units. The personal elite defense guard of the base. And he's sitting there, he's like, why don't you see this, Alsmard? And it's like, it's not something he'd say, it's not something he'd openly say, but he said it in his own way. And so it was kind of one of those moments where I was just like, oh, this is such a beautiful moment for him to become a Mechanator. And I don't know what it would take thank you, Hal, for Vox Null to actually commit 100% to being a Mechanator. But then that brings us to Alsmard, is what kind of tech priest would Alsmard be? And I don't think Alsmard would quite be a traditionalist in a sense. I think he has a lot of bad habits instilled into him by Vox Null, where, you flood all of your resources into one unit. You make sure that that one unit is a one-man walking army, better than all other units, like he's doing with Kornark. Kornark has just proven himself so well in the actual gameplay, and they've become good friends. And I was kind of bummed out because I was hoping Sus would also be in the contending run as a future alpha for the colony, because when Alsmard becomes a tech priest, we're gonna need a new leader for our Skitarii. Oh no, Thark. I forgot about this. He gets blasted in the rib cage. He's okay. Oh no, he's down. I forgot about that altogether. The way we treat our servitors. He is a very good Primus, yes, and he focuses on himself being the one in danger while the others defend. Probably the most selfish thing he did was the calling down of the shuttle, and that was a pretty poorly shot fight. I think I'm gonna have to manually remove all of the rotfish bases so I can then remove the rotfish. And the reason being is that the rotfish was a bad addition in general. I thought it would go really well, and then they just have a lot of mechanics that don't fit for the playthrough, and it makes fighting them not only increasingly difficult, but it also makes shooting a show with the rotfish in the show even harder, because they just bum rush. Right? They're super fast, they get an enhanced speed from just huffing fumes, and it becomes even more difficult to deal with them in the long term. So I wouldn't expect to see them in the future. We did lose a Skitarii due to the rotfish, and it's a fight that has so much micromanagement to it that when you get into the fight, you're having to constantly move your ranged forces back when you don't have enough melee forces. So that becomes a problem. The other issue is that because I don't have a mod that's so in-depth armor-wise for the Skitarii. The Skitarii armor is pretty good. It's not that great as you get further on into the advancement of the game. To be honest, all of the Krieg armor and all of the Cadian armor that came from Rimworld blows away the MIH 40k armors and stuff. Problem is that's the only one that has the Skitarii stuff at this point. So it makes things even more difficult to armor up, and that's probably why once we get the armor STC, you're going to see a change, because all the STCs are human-made, and there's going to be a change in how the armor works for the Skitarii. But it also does pose another question for me that I would love for you guys to kind of mull about in your heads, is should we instead make that armor STC shield belts for all? And from here on out, we give all of our Skitarii shield belts, which would give them a little bit more survivability and allow us to keep the theme of Skitarii and the Mechanicus without losing any of that uniqueness that they have to them. Because as much as I love the galvanic rifles, they just don't fire fast enough. Not like an arc rifle. And I'm trying to keep as close to Skitarii loadout as possible. So it is proving a little bit more difficult than usual to keep that loadout balance and keep everybody in a good position with their weaponry and keep everyone thematically on point and make the show as entertaining as possible, because the fact that Alsmard almost got himself killed in today's episode does worry me. Like, I made some risky choices during this little war crime that we're about to commit. Only works because we have some faster firing weapons, but you know, and they're using bows and arrows. At some point, one of them is going to land a lucky hit and nail one of the boys in the head. So that's kind of like the thought process is, how far out away from standard Skitarii loadout should we go? Should we just do a little thing and provide everybody with a personal shield? I think we're coming at a point too where we need to start training all of them in melee as well and getting them all some blades. Hell, we even need to start getting some rust stalkers in here. We could use some really strong melee people. But that'll wrap up today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys can come up with some good answers to the questions, because I love reading your comments down below, and I love chatting with you all. It's fun. I like my community. We have an awesome community here that's just growing all the time. So thank you guys for sticking around, for coming in and joining. I really do appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Shout out to the patrons for supporting the channel. You too can support the channel on Patreon by heading down in the description below. There's a link there. You can also support for free by hitting like, subscribe, commenting, and hitting the bell notification. And if you want to share this with your friends or family or just anybody you think might be interested, please go ahead. I enjoy more people coming and finding the channel and finding the show. It's fun for me. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next episode. Peace.